October the 13th, 2025, and straight from the highly caffeinated studio, this is According to Willie B, and I, Will Bryce, am your host for the next half hour. Today is part two of the the Great BFF trip, as we called it on our itinerary. And, I, I I'm telling you, I am so pumped for all 10 episodes of this whole thing. It's just, I talked about I could not wait to go on this trip. And I hope that everybody had stayed well and everything would go so that we could get this trip in. We had spent so much time planning. And it just, because there was so much I wanted to see and do and experience that I had never so many states that I had never been to before. And the second part of that was I could not wait to come back and talk to you guys and tell you about what I experienced, because I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to keep driving this home. You can look at it on the internet. You can watch it on TV. You look at postcards. You can draw sketches. I don't care what you do. It's not the same as going and experiencing it. So there's that, and I hope today, I hope today that I can find words to describe some of the things that I want to tell you all about today, and because I'm really excited, but sometimes the English language just does not provide the. I'm gonna go with provocative descriptions of what an actual experience is like. Now, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by provocative? Okay, so let me break it down what in my mind I mean by that. I can tell you I go to Bubba's Cafe and I eat a cheeseburger, and I can tell you it was great. It was greasy. It was dripping. It was. I can use whatever descriptive words I want to, but you still don't get to savor the actual taste of that burger. You have to go experience it for yourself, and by using more provocative words to give you the description, to give you the actual feeling of what I experienced, I just don't know that those words exist. But here we go. I'm going to try. And this is day two. And it was an immensely packed day. This was our most packed day of all the days of the trip. And because it was hustle bustle and we had to get all these items in because it was our last day in New York. And it was a full day. Don't get me wrong. It was a full day. We started early. We were on the street by 8 a.m. And we started out with, of course, I told you about or you know what? No, I didn't tell you. I think I mentioned a coffee shop last week, but let me take a minute to talk to you about this coffee shop. It's more than a coffee shop, okay? Because I had looked this up on Google because I said, we're going to need someplace close to the Hotel Edison, and we're going to need it to have lots of pastries, possibly breakfast sandwiches, what have you, but it's going to have coffee because three out of the four of us are coffee fiends, and we do not start our day without coffee. And if you really want to mess things up, put four people in a car for hours and three of them are coffee junkies, because that's not going to go well, I promise you. And then the fourth member of our travel party, which is my beloved dear wife, she is a Diet Dr. Pepper fiend, and so it would be the same thing if you didn't give her Diet Dr. Pepper. Okay, so we're moving on. So I looked on Google Maps and I found right down the street, about a block away, this little pastry shop, New York pastry shop called New York, what was it? New York. Oh, now my mind is going blank here all of a sudden, but it was New York. Oh, wow. I'll come back to it, okay? Because I'm not going to sit here and make my brain work when it shouldn't. But it was this little New York pastry shop. And when I say they had pastries, I've been in a lot of pastry shops, a lot of them. This pastry shop had more pastries than I had ever seen in my entire life. Follow them along because I'm going to try to give you a sense of walking in with me. As you're walking up to the shop from the street, there's an inflatable uh, Statue of Liberty, and it's waving and it's got its arms and it's waving and it looks like it's waving you in, or at least that's what I thought. It felt like it was waving me in. When you walk up to the window display from the street, it looks like something Macy put together for Christmas. I kid you not. I've never seen a window display on a pastry shop like this. Excuse me. So you walk in, to your right is floor to ceiling pastry case. Kid you not. From floor to ceiling, front of the shop to back of the shop. In front of you is about 4 or 5, I think there were probably 4 or 5 foot cases. They were about 3 feet tall, made of glass, more pastry cases. Behind that, on the back wall, floor to ceiling pastry cases. But in the middle, can't forget to tell you this part, in the middle of those pastry cases is about a 3 foot wide by 5 foot tall chocolate lava fountain coming down the wall. Absolutely insane. And then to the left of the shop, the other wall, it is again floor to ceiling pastry case, and they're all full of not the same 4 or 5 pastries. No, every case has something different. It's just I've never. It's like Christmas for pastries. Okay. So you walk up. On your left is the counter where you order coffee, which is the most important part. Now, the counter where you ordered your coffee was also glass and full of, you guessed it, pastries. Be to the left of the guy behind the counter, you could see the back of the window display. I'm telling you, insane. I've never seen so many pastries in all of my life. And were they good? Oh man. I mean, you couldn't ask for any better. I mean, they were just so light and fluffy croissants. I mean, they had cream filled donuts. I mean, better than anything I'd ever had in my life. And the coffee, to die for. Absolutely on point. I think we wound up and made 3 or 4 trips to that shop just for the coffee alone. It was that good. I'm telling you, you would lick the bottom of the cup trying to get the rest of that coffee out. It was absolutely insane. But it's one of the best little pastry shops I'd ever seen in my life. If you ever go to New York, you definitely have to try that out. Um, I was trying to see, yeah, New York Bakery and Desserts is what it's called, and you that's an understatement. They need some like exclamation marks in their name, something. Um, but do not miss that. That's a bucket list in itself, and it's literally a block down from the Edison Cafe, right there in Times Square, which is, by the way, like I told you last week, is the heartbeat of New York City. Okay, so we have to get to the Statue of Liberty. Our tour time was 8:30 a.m., which is why we grabbed quick coffee and pastries. As I told you last week when we floated by the Statue of Liberty and got our first glimpse from the Staten Island Ferry, again, I can't change my mind and telling you anything different because I said last week that I wasn't disappointed. Don't get me wrong, but the Statue of Liberty just didn't seem to be as large as I thought it would be. Well, when we got to Ellis Island and you're standing at the foot of said Statue of Liberty, it does get a little larger. So for a statue, it is immense in size. And I guess seeing it on TV and seeing it in the movies, that's what I'm telling you. But standing at the base of that statue, is very awe-inspiring. You realize all of a sudden your brain, click, and you realize, hey, I am standing in front of the Statue of Liberty. And that was really cool. I would not take for that experience. We didn't have actually have the time to do the tour that went inside, so you could go up the stairs and go up into the crown, and because the lines were really long that day, and we would have never had time. It would have killed our whole day to have done that. So we had to make sacrifices along the way, and that's what I tell you, when you're planning a trip, you got to make sacrifices. You got to be able to roll with the punches and just go with the flow. So that's what we did. We said, okay, we're not going to go inside, but we got plenty of pictures and video out and around, and I'll post those on the website this week. I've got tons of pictures and video coming to the website this week, according to WillieB.com. Don't forget to go check that out later this week so you can see what I'm telling you about. So one of the things that we had on our list after the Statue of Liberty was Brooklyn Bridge. Unfortunately, because of our time schedule, that we had to scratch that. And we were disappointed, but we were like, hey, we knew some things were going to get bumped. And unfortunately, Brooklyn Bridge was one of those things. But, it gives us a reason to go back someday, right? So now we leave there, and we're right by the 9/11 memorial. And this is absolutely not to be missed. This is where this podcast is going to take a little bit more of a serious turn for a few minutes, because I don't know if I have enough descriptive words to help you understand what we experienced inside that memorial. Now, it's set up like a museum, and some people may call it a museum, but it's not a museum. It's a memorial. I mean, the thousands of people that lost their lives, the tens of thousands of families that were affected. It's if you want some descriptive words walking into the 9/11 memorial, here you go. Are you ready? Write them down, because they are gut-wrenching. You will feel every emotion that you possibly have inside your being. You'll feel sadness. You'll feel grief. You will feel sorrow. You will feel sadness. You will feel anger. You will feel all of these things all rolled into one. It is an emotional roller coaster walking through the 9/11 memorial. I cannot even begin to tell you. Every tourist attraction we visited that day was busy. Like, a lot of tourists, right? Same thing was for the 9/11 memorial. But here's the thing. It wasn't noisy. There were kids in there. It was quiet. It was just like a library quiet. Because it was in awe of reverence. It's just, they've got all these things on display to give you a picture, trying to paint a picture to you of what it was like, because those of us that didn't live there, we don't know. We can only go off of what we saw. But let me tell you, standing there, seeing these massive steel beams bigger than life, some of them 7-8 inches thick, and just twisted like candy. There was a fire truck. Have you ever seen one of the huge city fire trucks? Because I'm sure other major cities have big fire trucks like this. So one of New York's fire trucks was on display, and it was just crumpled and battered like it was a tin can that had been kicked down the street. There was a room that had thousands of portraits of the people that had lost their lives, and just different, memorabilia for reverence and for remembrance of these people that lost their lives in this tragic thing. And you just go through this emotional roller coaster because I can tell you up until the time when, I mean, we just came from the Statue of Liberty and we walk in there, we walk up to the memorial to the door and we're all, talking about, okay, the rest of the day we got to do this, we got to be here. And we walk in that door, things changed. Our whole, our whole mental aptitude just changed. It just became drowned in reverence for all these lives that were lost. And then after we left, it stayed with us for the rest of the day. We couldn't, we almost like we couldn't shake that cloak of just emotional roller coaster that we had been through. And so we left there after we left 9/11 more. I beg you, I plead you, if you go to New York City, do not. If you don't see but one thing in the entire time you're in New York City, go see the 9/11 memorial. If you're anywhere near there, go see the 9/11 memorial. You need to see that. You need to experience that. So we left there and we had to find some place for lunch. It was starting to get past lunchtime and we were about to starve. It wasn't, it was kind of late, a little bit late for lunch. We're like, oh, we wanted to find something good for dinner, so we didn't want to ruin our dinner. Uh, yeah, that's a funny story, so we found this little cafe called Sant'Ambreas, and it's an Italian restaurant from Saint Ambrose, I believe, is what it is. But we had a light lunch. I think a couple in our party had like avocado toast. Me, I don't do avocado toast. My version of avocado toast was, oh yeah, French toast with fresh berries and fresh cream. So yeah, that's my version of that's my version of avocado toast. But anyway, so we ate lunch there, and then we decided, we had to scratch Coney Island the day before, and we really wanted to experience it, even though we kind of had mixed reviews that we had read. It's not what it used to be. And so we went anyway because we wanted to see for ourselves, right? So we take the subway, we get over to Coney Island, and the reviews were absolutely spot on. It's not what it used to be. There's a lot of crime in that area. It's some of it's run down. It's definitely not the Coney Island that I'm sure people who grew up in New York remember, right? So, but it was still an experience because we still got to go and we got to say, I can say today, hey, I've been to Coney Island. I see it, and for me, I could look at Coney Island and see what it used to be. I could visualize what it used to be. So we did the Ferris wheel so that went up and you kind of, see, we rode a couple other little rides in there. And there was an original Nathan's hot dog. And so we had to try that because you can't go to Coney Island and not have a hot dog. So we tried a couple of their hot dogs and they were really good. They had onion rings and stuff, and it was really good. So like I said, we didn't want to spoil our dinner, but here we are, meal number 2 in the afternoon. So we were just trying to make the most of the trip and experience as much as we possibly could. So we finished lunch. Now it's back to the subway because we have to get to the Empire State Building because that was the next thing on the list. Now, when you plan a trip to New York City, you can do one of two things or you can do both. And we decided we put both on the itinerary. And if we made both of them, great. And if we didn't, we would choose Empire State Building over what they call Top of the Rock. It's kind of it's almost saying, well, you're having almost two servings of almost the same thing, and they're different in their own right, but we couldn't go to New York City and not go to the Empire State Building. Now I forget exactly what it cost us, but I will tell you it was expensive. It was like $177 just for my wife and I just to go to the 76th floor. Now I've spent a lot of money on plane tickets. I've spent money on train tickets. I've spent money on a lot of different transportations, but I can honestly say I've never spent that kind of money on an elevator ride. It was a nice elevator, and it took me way up where I could see a lot of New York. But wow, I think we paid the air conditioning bill that day. But it's okay because we got to experience it for ourselves. We can now say, hey, I've been to the Empire State Building and I have been all the way to the top. I walked around because they have a platform outside where you can walk all the way around. And if you really want to get a good picture of how big New York is, there you go. That's the best way to do it because let me tell you, that is massive city. I mean, I had no idea that New York City, that the area was that big. Because when you're up that high, you're seeing more than just New York City, but it's just skyscrapers from every different direction and as far as you can see. So I can understand how New York City is such a hustling, bustling city because that's a lot of people. And they just got them stacked on top of one another. But it was cool going up on the Empire State Building, and I would I do it again if I went back? No, that's one of those things where okay, been there, done that, got the postcard, the T-shirt, etc., and it was an experience. You got to see a lot of. Because it was almost like a museum up on the top floor where it told you, how the built, how it was built, and etc. And back in that era, I mean, it took a lot longer, a lot more man hours because they didn't have the modern equipment that we have now. So, uh, we thoroughly enjoyed the Empire State Building. I'm glad that we did it. I'm glad that we didn't skip that because it was really a big part. You can't. I mean, how it's like. I mean, if you go to New York City and you don't go to the Statue of Liberty and to Empire State Building, are you really going to consider yourself a tourist or a traveler? Come on. Okay, so let's just because I know I'm getting long on time today, but I knew I had a lot to say. So uh, we had to find someplace special for dinner. Now they left me in charge of. If you leave me in charge of anything, it's scary. But they put me in charge of dinner locations because one of Culinary Highway, but they consider me the foodie of the group, so they're like, look, if it's not good food, we're gonna blame you. Okay, that's fine. So I had searched and I had saw one of my friends a few weeks prior to our travel that went to a place called the Stardust Diner. And you know me and diners because that means comfort food, and I like comfort and I like comfort food. They go hand in hand. So I thought that seems really cool, and it's right in the Times Square, and the servers sing. Uh, and do performances. I'm like, okay, well, this could be really cool. It's like dinner and show all at once. And we wanted to spend a little bit more time in Times Square before because we had to get up at 4:30 the next morning to head to Niagara. So we wanted to try to live it up as long as as we could possibly stand it. And so we went to the Stardust Diner. It was way off the charts of what I was expecting. And I want to spend the remainder of this podcast telling you what this is. So, this is a two-level restaurant. It's almost built like an arena on the inside because you've got two floors for seating. Now, the bottom floor is pretty much seating all the way across. The top floor it's open, so the seating is around the rim of the ceiling. And downstairs, there's almost like a runway. Instead of a stage, it's like a runway where they can jump up there and they can sing, but they're doing more than singing. It's like they're doing a Broadway type performance singing. And so when we figured that out, well, this is going to be really cool. So they took us and they set us up on the top ring up there. And so I was glad of that because I was able to get some really cool video. That is actually the video that I will be posting this week on Culinary Highway. But it was so cool to learn that these ladies and gentlemen that were servers, I mean, they're working as a server. They're serving food. They're running back and forth to the kitchen and refilling your drinks and etc. But at the same time, they're performing. They're running around the restaurant with a mic in their hand, bringing your food, and they're doing a performance, like a Broadway style performance. How crazy is that? And so we talked to a few of them because let me tell you, when you break out a camera and they're already looking to try to get on Broadway, and somebody breaks out a camera and starts filming, you have their attention. I promise you. So we spoke to a few of them, and the one girl that I had spoke to that gave me her information that I so that I could send the Culinary Highway link to. I found out that she has been on American Idol. So I was like blown away. I'm like, these folks are serious. I mean, they're trying to get on Broadway with every single performance, every shift that they work. They're trying to get on Broadway. And I know you're thinking, okay, that's really cool. How was the food? Let me tell you, it was diner food, or was it? Because, like me, I'm going to search out that menu and I'm going to find the comfort food. And I did. They had meatloaf and mashed potatoes, and they had a lot of other things. What do you think I got? I got the meatloaf and mashed potatoes because I'm a meat and taters kind of guy. Now, that meatloaf was absolutely delicious. I enjoyed every single bite of it. Even after I've had that hot dog, it did not spoil my appetite because I had meatloaf and mashed potatoes, and it was really good. And so it was made in house. And so one of our party got salmon. Um, One of them got nachos, but not just nachos. It was like a mountain of nachos. I called it Mount Nacho because I mean it was a crazy big pile of nachos. I'm like could have fed the whole table. And then the other person in our party got the lobster grilled cheese, and so you can see it's not just your typical diner food. So to if you ask me, okay, what's my rundown of the Stardust Diner? Well, let me tell you, the food is absolutely off the charts, delicious, right? Made in house, made from scratch. You've got performers, not servers, they're performers, Broadway style performers serving your food to you, and then you got the service, you got the show, you got the food, you got everything. You talk about a wow experience, 100%. And to do it in that kind of atmosphere and still pull off a wow experience on everything, because I know you're thinking like I am. Sometimes you get like a tourist kind of thing, and okay, so they got the Broadway singers, and that's their gimmick, right? And so the food is so, but not here. The food was as good as anywhere you would want to go and eat and tell people about. And then you had the service on top of it. You had the performances on top of it. This place was just absolutely epic. I mean, some of the young people, oh, that's fire. Well, that place was fire. Let me tell you, because it was one of my favorite places we ate, other than Inoteca Maria. But wow. Uh, that Stardust Diner, man, that was just, it's very memorable. If I ever get to go back to New York again, I can promise you, you will find my butt sitting in one of them chairs in that diner, eating off that menu again. They can sing till their lungs collapse, and I will sit there and enjoy that food. So I'm having a little bit of voice issues today, so I do apologize for that. But hey, we haven't had any word salads, so there's always a positive, okay? But let me tell you, this trip to New York, I found a whole new love for major cities a couple of months ago when we went to Philadelphia, and then now New York. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. And but you guys know I don't edit. This is live. This is unscripted. So take it for what it is. If I start sneezing, well, we're gonna deal with that too. We'll just deal with it together. But I can't wait to go back to New York someday. I absolutely would love to go back to New York City. There's so much more of that city that I want to experience that we missed out on. I really think I could go there and spend a full 2 or 3 days. I absolutely loved it. Loved the people. People were friendly. You can say what you want to, but everybody that we met was just so friendly, and we made friends there, and it just was an absolute total experience going to New York City. I hope you're as excited about it as I am. I hope that you'll start after this podcast that you'll open up Google and start planning your own trip to New York City. I promise you, you won't regret it. I've already told you where the good food is, and I've told you where you need to go check out. Next week, don't forget, next week is part 3 of the 10, and we will be talking about Niagara Falls. Let me tell you, that is epic, and that will be that'll be a one-part series on that, and that will also be the part where we talk about the injury that happened. And I'm not gonna tell you who got injured. I think you folks already know from listening to my podcast who was the one that got injured. But we'll save that laugh at my expense for next week. Well, I just told you who it was. Anyway, until that time, do not forget to caffeinate and conquer. I hope all of you have a great week. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you right back here in this highly caffeinated studio next week. Thank you, and bye-bye.